Hey everyone, it's John Trent here with Bounding into Comics, and I just finished watching The Mandalorian Episode 3, The Sin. And I have to say, I had I highly enjoyed this one. It was much better than the first two episodes. I didn't find any real issues with how it was directed or with the script. Um, it was kind of not exactly what I expected, but it was in the vicinity of what I expected. I think probably the biggest surprise for me with this episode was that Werner Herzog was the one who was giving everyone those little markers in order to track the baby Yoda, and I actually thought there might have been two different factions within the Empire potentially tracking this little baby Yoda, and it was a surprise to me that it seemed to be all from Werner Herzog's character. Hey Mark, how's it going? Hey chat, how y'all doing? But yeah, I was surprised that it was just Werner Herzog's character, especially given that first episode. So I guess there's that issue there. There's a little inconsistency from the first episode with the third episode already. And so you had IG-11. His goal was to kill the baby Yoda, but the Mandalorian was given the task of capturing it alive and killing if possible. So that was an issue that I had. That was like probably one of the only real issues there. I thought that they could have explained that a little bit better, and they kind of just washed over it and was just like, don't just kind of ignore that. But yeah, otherwise, I thought it was actually very interesting episode. He finished his quest, brought the kid back. He got his armor upgrade, just like in the RPG. I really like those armor scenes. Those are probably my favorite scenes so far in both the first episode and in this third episode. I like learning about the history of the Mandalorian people. I thought that kind of semi-duel between the two was right. Yeah. So getting back to that Werner Herzog piece there, Mark saying higher bounty for alive. It was dead if necessary. Right. But they wanted to bring it back alive. But IG-11 wanted to kill it immediately. He didn't want to take it back to get the higher bounty. Maybe that's because he's a droid and he doesn't value the bounty as much. But that doesn't really make that doesn't. I don't know. I still feel like that didn't really gel well. I thought there was some inconsistency there. But getting back to that. Hail Demonic Bioman. How's it going? Thank you for joining me. My co-hosts, I know Don is running a little late. I'm not sure if anyone else will be joining us tonight. For those wondering, I think Script Doctor is going on a date, so we wish him well on that. Yeah, Demonic Bioman. You're saying that they spend a lot of time on Baby Yoda's facial expressions, playing up the cute factor. Yeah, I mean, of course, they want to sell those Baby Yoda. They want to sell those Baby Yoda toys that they're quickly manufacturing. Or I'm surprised they didn't have them out already. But yeah, no, they definitely were playing that up. I actually thought towards the second half of the episode, they just kind of there's only that one scene where he kind of looks at him, and I felt like he was obviously he wasn't holding like any. It was just like a bundle that he was holding. It didn't even almost look like the baby Yoda was there. It looked almost like too tiny, but he is pretty tiny towards like those battle scenes at the end of the episode. As far as pacing, I thought this episode had much better pacing. I didn't feel like there was a lot of it didn't feel like there was any unnecessary things happening here. I thought it flowed very well from scene to scene. Like I said, I really liked those the armor scene. Yeah, sack of taters, exactly. That's what it looked like, a sack of taters with the baby Yoda. But I really liked that armor scene. I really liked those flashbacks. I was when he was getting his armor upgrade again. I definitely thought. I was hoping we would get those flashbacks again, and we did. And again, we saw the B2 battle droids, which is really interesting. And we obviously get this. They talked about this great purge again, where obviously it seems like the Empire went around and was exterminating the Mandalorian people. And but it was interesting they were using B2 battle droid or some kind of upgraded B2 battle droids that we saw in the prequels. I thought that was quite interesting. Obviously, we saw that they had the K2 units in Rogue One, but the Empire, if I remember correctly, I thought they had like decommissioned those battle droids following Revenge of the Sith. So that's interesting if they were deploying battle droids as well instead of just human soldiers, which is what I thought they had reverted to. So maybe there's a story behind that as why battle droids are being deployed to exterminate the Mandalorian people. But I really like those flashbacks, especially where his parents kind of leave him in the. It's very Bruce Wayne-ish almost. Both his parents get killed, and he's kind of there, left alone to live. And then I liked how it like left. Obviously, we know he survives, but that battle droid's like opening the. We assume it's a battle droid. I think, if I remember correctly, opening the cupboard or shaft or whatever it is, the cellar door. That's what it is, the cellar door. And you're just kind of like left on edge there, like, oh, what really happened? And we're just assuming that those are his memories. And I like how it's triggered by his like armor upgrade, that these memories are triggered by or at least that's how they're portraying it in the show. And I really like that a lot. And I liked how they were like. So what was it? The one part that was interesting is we learned a little bit more about the Mandalorian code. Has anyone ever taken your helmet off? And then he also talks about how he didn't want to the rhino or whatever he called the animal, the rhino. He didn't want that as a signet because it was an unhonorable kill. And he said he was helped by an enemy that didn't know it was an enemy, which I thought was really interesting. And I really liked exploring that. And I hope it seems like that's something that they're going to continue doing. And I hope they continue to do so, especially after what we saw at the end. I like how they introduced, obviously, we got a little bit more of the rest of the Mandalorian characters. I don't know who that other Mandalorian guy was, but he obviously seems like he was a little bit more of a veteran. I actually thought he won that one-on-one fight. It looked like his sword was at the guy's throat, where the Mandos was off to the side. So I thought that was actually really well done, showing him that he's obviously not even one of the best Mandalorians, despite having this reputation in this rundown parsec. Yeah, so Demonic is saying, well done on how Mando's parents were dispatched. The doors are closed, and then boom. Yeah. I mean, they showed people getting killed all over in this episode, though. But yeah, I don't know. It had a very Bruce Wayne vibe to it. Usually when I don't know if I remember correctly, they don't really show his parents getting killed. You hear the gunshots and then the pearls fall down in the Nolan trilogy, if I remember correctly. I think you might see his dad get shot, but you don't usually see if I remember correctly, you don't see his mom get shot. Maybe I might be misremembering that. It's been a while since I've seen Batman Begins, and I honestly don't really remember the opening for Batman vs Superman. I just know that scene's in there. I don't remember the specifics. It doesn't stand out to me as the Nolan Batman Begins does. But yeah, no, I thought that was very, very well done. It was very emotional and impactful, and you're like, holy crap! Like, and but it's you still have this. I still think that there's this issue where since he has the helmet on, it's very hard to like see what his emotions are, and he doesn't really convey it a lot through his body language. We got it a little bit. They did a good job of doing it when he's in the ship and he's taken this. He's taken that next bounty, and he's looking at his controllers and he's got everything hyped up, and then he's missing the knob on that one controller, and then he finds it, he screws it in, and he keeps like looking, and that actually like was able to convey some pretty solid emotion there. That it's kind of hard to see that emotion otherwise, because you know that he has to be feeling he's feeling a little bit of attachment to this little baby Yoda, because he's actually asking questions, defying the code of the guild. Unsure if that's the code of the Mandalorians. It's definitely define the code of the Bounty Hunter Guild. Yeah, that's still something that I think they're struggling with, but that this episode definitely improved on that. I think that was probably Deborah Chow's influence in the directing, having that knob being turned off, and then him looking at it, staring at it, and all the building up with like him defying the orders, because you had that. They made sure you knew that was against the code. You had Werner Herzog say it, and then you had Grief Karga, I believe is his name. He says it as well. So they did a really good job of like kind of showing that. I guess not really good, but like is an improvement from the previous episodes. And I still think that's something they need to work on to understand like where he's at in an emotional state. And obviously we get that through the flashback scenes with the music, and then you can see his face, like the young boy's face and all that. And then with the way that it was cut with like the hammer slamming or the machine coming down. And then I think the final hammer blow from the armorer. And that really all combined to like give us some like really good emotion without like actually seeing his face. And I thought that was all well done. I think probably why I like this episode the most is like for the most part, like the first half, you had him just like flying back to his planet. He turns the bounty over, gets his armor, and then the second half, it's just pure action. So it's really there really isn't a lot of like additional story. And I'm sure if Script Doctor was here, he might have something to say about that. But I actually thought it did really well for the 30 minutes that we got. I think it was 39 total, but there was like 4 minutes of credits, and then I think about a minute in the beginning. But yeah, the action scenes I thought did really, really well. I think there was one scene where there might have been a little bit of problems with consistency, because he had pulled out his long rifle that has like the shock stick on it, and he had just like shocked some people. And then it cuts to another scene where he's walking through a doorway and he's got his pistol pulled out again, and the shock stick is on his back. Obviously, you can probably suspend your disbelief there and say that when he moved from room to room, he put the rifle back on his back, and he pulled his pistol out again. But yeah, I did feel like that was a little bit of inconsistency. I really, really, really liked how it was like he was like feeling. He actually he scoped out what was going on, which was one of my big criticisms from the last episode, where he just charged into the rhino pit in episode 2. This one, he actually got up on a roof, pulled out his rifle, was looking around. He overheard a conversation. You could see him like actually kind of like looking what they were doing. And then he decided to like go through and infiltrate the facility. And I really liked that. Again, it felt very Batman-ish to me. It felt very like Arkham City. If you played Arkham City, like the Batman games, you have to like take down the opponents like one by one. And I thought that felt really, really good. And I really liked that infiltration. We're gonna get to your question mark a little bit. I'm getting there. But I really liked the infiltration stuff, and I thought that was really cool. They're showing that this guy isn't like a stone cold killer. He's not afraid of killing stormtroopers. But when it comes to the doctor, he actually did question him, and then he decided not to kill him because I guess he believed the doctor. Who knows if he understands like what was going on with that medical equipment or whatever that equipment was that was scanning the baby Yoda. It's unclear if the Mandalorian has any kind of technical knowledge of that. They didn't really show it to us as the audience, and we didn't have no idea kind of like what was going on. He was just in some kind of like medical scanner. But yeah, so they're showing us that by his actions, he decided not to kill that guy. I don't like these trackers that just take you to your bounty. We didn't explain. They still haven't explained how they actually work. Definitely seems like they're still like too easy to just find people. You just get a tracker and you go after them, and it tells you where they are. I don't like that. I don't like that. That technology needs to be more fully explained, and there needs to be some kind of flaw with it, where maybe someone can like reprogram these trackers, or there needs to be something where these trackers aren't like all like powerful, kind of basically. So yeah, let's get into so I think this is kind of where I'm at here. I want to get to your question a little bit later about the Mandalorians, Mark, but I do like this comment here. Herzog seemed to want the baby dead, and the doctor wanted him alive. So if you remember from the first episode, the Herzog actually says he wants him alive, and then he says, "But I understand your job, so we will also accept that if he's dead." And then the doctor says, "That's not what we agreed on." So I don't really think that he wants him dead. I didn't really get that. It's possible in that when he was overhearing that conversation, it was very quick. He was saying like, "Get the material you need," and then kind of like dispose of it or whatever. But it's unclear what he's actually talking about. We're not sure if he's actually talking about the baby Yoda. It's our assumption that like we're hearing it from the Mando's perspective, and he's obviously assuming that's what he's talking about, the baby Yoda, because he kind of is. He's obviously highly skeptical of the Empire. He doesn't like them. The Mandalorian people do not like the Empire and don't trust them. Obviously, the Great Purge seems to be a purge where they were literally massacring all the Mandalorian people. But it's unclear if he was exactly talking about the baby Yoda. That's actually a good mystery that keeps us wanting to tune in for the next episode. It's something we want to find out. Who is this baby Yoda? What is this baby Yoda? Why does this Empire want him? What was the doctor actually doing? And we'll find out if that actually, if we get some of I assume we're going to get those answers. But so after he basically wastes all of these stormtroopers through infiltration, and I liked how they mixed up his kills. That was one of my complaints, I think, with John Wick Chapter 2. The kills all started to feel like the same in John Wick Chapter 2. But they did mix them up. I will say that I did comment to my wife after he killed the first two, where he blasts them from behind, and then the other guy comes in and he decides to like melee attack him. I was like, oh, why didn't he just blast that guy too? But it was a good mixture of the kills. I think my favorite one was where he literally Batmaned him with a grappling hook and he killed him. I thought that was a really cool kill. And then I just liked how they mixed it up a lot. I think maybe the one issue I had was where the two guys like had spotted him, and then they like kind of split up and were like, "Let's flush him out." And I was like, "There's only two of you. Like, what? I don't like this guy's already like gone through like half your garrison here or half your unit. Maybe you should try and get some reinforcements and just try and what is the word that they try and do in Die Hard that they fail to do? That contain him. If they contained him, he wouldn't have been able to run around the building in the first place. Maybe they should have tried to contain him and then maybe ambushed him in the building where they had him contained. But that obviously they didn't do that, and they paid for that mistake. And then we get to this end battle scene. Yeah, Navy Kid. All the kills were really cool and awesome. Like I liked them a lot. My favorite was definitely when he used the grappling hook and then he knifed the guy. That felt very Batman-ish to me because you could do that in like Arkham City and Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight. I didn't really get into Arkham Knight. I just didn't like the driving the car around. Arkham City was my jam. So Demonic asks, might be the value of Baby Yoda is available to the Doctor, dead or alive. I think that that's definitely a possibility. He still values he obviously values like probably the DNA of the kid. I think that's a safe assumption to make. I do. It did seem to me that there was more value. There was more value on him being alive, obviously, because he got a full bounty for him being alive, and in a reduced. He was told he would get a reduced bounty if he was brought in dead from the first episode. If I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, let's get into this final battle here. And so in the final battle, it was actually kind of cool. So no, actually, I wanted to talk about that before we get to the final battle. I want to talk about that. There's a foreshadowing from the first episode. Remember, you have the 4 stormtroopers in the room with Werner Herzog, and it's like we'll get you, and like it's 4-1. He's like, I would have liked to have seen him just kind of like take him down with his pistol. But I was totally cool seeing that too. I thought that was like I thought they were going to save that for maybe something where he's a little bit more desperate, given the fact that they put a lot of emphasis on that and saying that it was a very like rare weapon use when the armorer was making it. But so then we got to this part where he's basically surrounded by an army of bounty hunters on this. Apparently, this entire like little village is just occupied by bounty hunters, and they all hang out in that bar. I mean, obviously, we saw some of the people through the town, but it definitely felt like there was everyone else had like abandoned the village, and it was just the bounty hunters there. So that was a little worrisome. I thought there probably should have been some civilians getting caught. Obviously, it's Disney, and we didn't see that, but that's probably would have happened if this was not on Disney. We would have seen civilians like being killed by these bounty hunters as well. But the final fight there was actually really, really cool. I liked it a lot, and I liked how he used the droid on the speeder and was able to use it as a defense. I liked how he felt like it was done. He like the odds were insurmountable, and he wasn't going to win. I like that. I like that feeling there, and it looked like he was going to lose, and he did lose. I would say until his clan decided to show up and butcher all of those bounty hunters with quite ease. I really liked the handheld minigun. That was really cool. And obviously the jetpack scene at the end where he's flying away with the jetpack. He says, I got to get one of those. And I was like, yeah, you need to get one of those. Like, I was totally like, yeah, come on, man, get one of those. That needs to be your next equipment upgrade. Oh, yeah, he did not mind a droid driver that time. He even had to threaten to tell him how to drive fast, or he was going to blow him away. And the droid got blown away anyways. I liked how Grief Karga actually isn't stupid. He was able to actually ambush the Mandalorian. Didn't work out for him in the end, but I did like they showed his smarts, and I like how there's multiple people who are kind of like antagonists now for the Mandalorian. Not only are we going to have Werner Herzog and the Empire, but we're also going to have Grief Karga as well. Yeah, I mean, come on, the demonic bioman. Yeah, anyone who's trying to shoot the hero is going to be a lousy shot. Hey, Script Doctor. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. I definitely agree with you. Tonight's episode was vastly better than what we've seen so far. Solid goal for the Mandalorian. Yep, and I hope you have a great night too. Enjoy your night. So let's get to this question that Mark had. Why did all the Mandalorians come out at the end when they were supposed to be in hiding? I mean, I'm going to say the obvious answer to that is they are a very small population of people, and they don't really want one of their people to die, so they decided to make a move and save their guy, who is apparently their like appointed representative for the tribe right now, because I think they say that only one of them goes out at a time, and maybe They have a lot of faith in this guy. He just brought them all of that Beskar. He might be one of their. Obviously, he might not be best in like one-on-one combat, but maybe he is a superior bounty hunter when it comes to tracking down and capturing bounties. I'm not convinced of that. That's usually what we've heard through his reputation with Grief Karga. Uh, but but we saw that he got bested by the other Mando. But I think for that, that's like the answer I have right now for you, Mark. I mean, he does ask. I forget he calls them something else like a coven or something, or I couldn't really make out what he was saying. That they'll have to move, and it definitely appears like the Mandalorian people are all kind of nomadic and they're hiding out. It's interesting that no one kind of went down and like has like was following him to see where he goes. They obviously saw he was getting armor upgrades. Um, you would think that someone would be like, "Oh, where can I get those armor upgrades? Because maybe I have some Beskar too. It might be rare, but maybe I want some armor upgrades too." Maybe tracking him down, especially after he had like had turned in his bounty, and you saw all these bounty hunters were supposedly disgruntled with him. That was all just exposition from Grief Karga until they all decided to like go attack him, and that was just to get the baby Yoda back. But overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I hope we get more episodes like this one. It was exciting. It was entertaining. I was interested to see where it was going. I liked the infiltration. I liked that he was actually scouting it out. Which again, that was one of my complaints from the last episode. I just popped in my head here. It does appear that the Jawas are spacefaring people. They showed Jawas on the planet where he was based in. So it does appear that Jawas are spacefaring people, and they are not stuck to Tatooine. I do have an issue. I want to know that maybe this is something that they haven't like decided what the planets' names are yet, but I wish they would tell us what the planets' names are. And maybe they don't want to tell us what the planets' names are because that would have to like change all these galaxy maps or whatever. But I would like to know what the planets they're on are. I do find that fascinating. That's like that's what's interesting about Star Wars is you have like the lore. It could be a new planet. I'm fine with that too. But I would like to know what the planets are, and hopefully maybe they'll let us know in the future. But I think like a subtitle definitely when he's like flying to the planet and they showed the planet and it had like I guess it was like lava flow or like it looked like it had like red cracks running through it. And just show that, like, tell me what it is. That's, as a Star Wars fan, I feel like that's something we expect. That's what we usually see in the movies. Even in the video games, the planets that you're going to. They tell you what they are. SWOTOR, KOTOR, you name it. The planets are all there, and I just feel like that's like something that's like usually intrinsic to Star Wars. Navy Kip's asking, were the Jawas spacefaring in the EU? I will say I am not well versed in extended universe stories. If you watched live stream on John De La Rosa's channel yesterday, I think I popped in. We talked about Kathleen Kennedy's comments about saying that they don't have source material or comics or novels for Star Wars, which is just utterly ridiculous. We discussed that, and I will say my EU knowledge isn't as strong as probably what it should be. I did play SWOTOR, I played KOTOR, but I didn't really like dive into the novels, and I still haven't. I really don't like how, especially now, I'm not going to read any of those new novels because I just feel like those are just gimmicks to try and get you to read a novel because you have to know like what the story is and in order to understand the movie, which I just think is a failure of the film to have like a tie-in book to explain what's happening. But yeah, in summary, I mean, we're doing this about half an hour now. In summary, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed this episode. I hope we get more like this. The ending of this kind of leaves a lot open. I'm going to guess that obviously Grief Karga is alive. Going to pursue him. The Empire is going to be pursuing him. They have these insta find him wands. He's going to have to find a way to deactivate that or somehow turn it off in order to be going into hiding. Or I guess you keep it going and he's constantly having to worry about someone ambushing him, which could be interesting. We still haven't seen Gina Carano's character. We still haven't seen Giancarlo. I think his name's Giancarlo Esposito's character. So there's still some characters we haven't seen introduced yet. So look to see them soon in the upcoming episodes. But I liked it. I liked the infiltration. I liked the action scenes. I really liked the armor scenes. The only issues I really had were a consistency issue when he was infiltrating, where he switches from his rifle to a pistol, and then and then the whole Werner Herzog is the one who issued all of those people the trackers, and then apparently he was giving different orders to different bounty hunters, which is just I guess it's nitpicking. It's nitpicking. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. My name is John Trent with Bounty in the Comics. We will review The Mandalorian every Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Or we will review so it's coming out every Friday, but I think there's one day where it comes out on a Wednesday, and we'll probably do a Wednesday 9 p.m. And we usually do our Bounding Live on Wednesday 9 p.m. So it'll be like a combo Bounding Live Mandalorian. So thank you all for joining us. And if you haven't seen episode 3, it's definitely the best episode of The Mandalorian yet. I definitely recommend it. And I think it stands alone pretty well as its own episode as well. Obviously, you might need to watch episode 1 as well, but I think you can probably skip episode 2, honestly, if you want to. But episode 3, best one yet. Let's hope it continues to improve. I thought that about Titans. Episode 4, Aqualad was their best episode, and it got worse from there, and I kind of stopped at episode 6. But yeah, hope you all have a good night, and thanks for joining. Talk to you Wednesday, 9 p.m. Later.